Aloha, my name is Deepa. Welcome to Galactic Shamans live tarot and energy readings. This is Jason Donaldson, healer, my good friend. And basically, welcome to our last two shows. We've got one more next week of this incredible journey that we've been on, where we go into the details of what it's like trying to embody the new earth. So before we get into our topic for today, I'm going to briefly introduce Jason and I in case you haven't been here before. And if you're new, welcome and thanks for joining us. So Jason Donaldson is a psychotherapist, a second energy practitioner, spirit guide and mentor, offering 3, 6, and 9 month programs for spirit guidance mentorship, which is a combination of energy work, breath work, counseling, and coaching. And you can find him at jasondonaldsonhealer.com. And it's the same on YouTube as well as Instagram and Facebook. So my name is Deepa. Again, if you haven't seen me before, you can find me on Let's Evolve Together on YouTube or Let's Evolve Together Tarot on Instagram. And my focus is doing tarot readings and Akashic record readings. And I recently began my studies with the Galactic Akashic Records. So together, Jason and I are kind of channeling and downloading the energy of the galactics, how they can help us in our lives so that we can embody our highest potential and live on our most favored timeline so that we can start to manifest our lives in the way that feels really good to our hearts. So this is really about heart-centered living and feeling like you're in alignment and in step with what supports you at this time. So, Jason, did you want to add anything to that?
No, it's great. Well, I'll add the heart-centered aspect is so important. And I even had to kind of catch that before we started this call, like to say, oh, I love you and I'm grateful to be here and do this with you. And because I was in like, oh, well, what's our theme and what's going on today? And oh, we have a reading we're doing for someone. And it was just like a lot of logistics and details. I'm like, well, wait a minute, let's get in the heart, and usually don't go wrong when we drop into that place.
Yeah, I actually did the same thing. I got centered in my heart too before we went on, and just asked my guides to be extra close today. There's a lot of energy moving around right now. We're in this portal preparing for the Lion's Gate. So if any of you feel like you dropped into a raging river and you're now moving faster than you can comprehend, that's probably means you're in alignment with the energy of what's going on. It probably also means that a lot of things are showing up and maybe even falling away that might be unexpected. So this is like practicing surrender, being in your body, staying really present in your body, and just seeing what turns up and really acknowledging it and recognizing it, recognizing what it is that you're sensing and feeling, and also kind of noticing if you want it in your life or not. So there's a lot of valuable energy right now that is here to guide us. And we were talking about that too. Like the energy right now is very potent, and it just feels like we're kind of getting these divine directions from source about what's up, what's happening, what's coming, where to go, what to do. So if you're paying attention, it'll really support you at this time.
Yeah, it feels very dark and shadowy kind of thing, like when stuff bubbles to the surface, like the moon and the tarot card, like stuff creeping out of the depths. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, is this evil? Is this, what is this? I don't like this. I don't like how this feels. And for me, that's the integration, is like, okay, what is this? What am I feeling? What am I being exposed to? What am I seeing now that is having me feel something and dance with it, rather than like, get away and, cast it out. And because I think there was a time when we could do that rather effectively with a lot of things in life, and more it's just coming up, and it's just going to keep coming up. In fact, last night we did a breath work and sound healing ceremony, and pretty much everyone that showed up had something going on in their life the last couple of days or the last week that was challenging for them, and we could feel it in the container. But as everyone came present and dropped into their hearts, the stuff's still happening, and yet they're more centered, they're more calm, and they're more aware of what it is to be able to dance with it. And that's like our theme today is integration of ancient memory. And so what is all that? What's that mean? And there's a lot of lifetimes we've had here and a lot of things that have happened, and those are coming forward for a lot of us. And it's like, how do we navigate that. And like what you were saying with the heart and with the now moment presence and the connection.
Yeah, that's right. We forgot to introduce the topic for today. Thanks for saying that. Yeah, it's ancient memory, which I love because it's, I don't know, there's something about it that's so beautiful, like knowing where you've been and what you've done and who you've been before. That's so enchanting. And there's definitely something woven in there, like being a witness to your own story. It's just such a beautiful thing. So it's fun to hear your own stories and the potential of them, even your dreams. I know a lot of people who have very vivid dreams and remember their dreams. They have just an amazing way of like telling the story through their dreams, that they had this experience where they feel like it was a real experience. So that the kind of that thing we used to say, well, don't worry, it's only a dream. It's like never something I say to my kids anymore, because it's not actually accurate. You know, there's definitely more going on than just some random dream. Whether it's some subconscious symbolism that's trying to teach you something or expose something within you, whether it's a past life memory, whether it's a warning, an intuitive foretelling of what might be coming. I mean, dreams are way more than just dreams.
I heard it said by some very wise, enlightened person that dropped a lot of like truth bombs, and that's how I would gauge them as enlightened or more aware. They said, like our dream world, we're closer to the real state, a real reality, than the wake world that we think is so solid and fixed and unchangeable. Like with a dream state is much more like closer to our true selves. And it even reminded me too, when you were saying that, is like, there is no time. And so like a past life and all these other lifetimes are all happening simultaneously. And this is something that was presented to me recently that really sunk in, was sometimes when I have intense emotion and things are coming up and there's really nothing wrong in the world, so maybe that's just another lifetime where something has happened in that life and I'm being asked to like feel and hold space for that. And if I'm able to do it and breathe with it and not spin out into like, what's wrong with me, and oh, there's this, and oh, it must be this thing that's doing this to me. If I just sit with it, there's this concept that it's changing that reality too. It's changing that timeline and integrating back into wholeness a timeline where maybe I was on another planet and I was in like some kind of galactic war, or I was perpetuating something, or I was being attacked or held prisoner or something. And like those are the feelings coming. And it's like, oh, okay, breathe and just feel and hold space, and then it goes away. But when like yesterday I was going through it and I was like, all this, there's like really nothing wrong in my life, and yet I was able to find things and old stories and old patterns of not being good enough, all these core negative beliefs that people take on, unlovable, not good enough, abandoned, stuff like that. There's like these core negative beliefs, or you could say programs that will drag a person down. And that's similar, that we have a friend of mine that was going to get a reading today. She won the contest for sharing your galactic contact stories, spirit guidance stories. And so if you're on, Jen, please comment, say hi, and we'll get to your reading in a little while. We're also going to do a collective reading, but it was similar to that same thing of her question around like blockages and wanting more connection, more contact with memories and our galactics and things like that.
Aloha, Shaylee. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Welcome in. I like your sunflower. Reminds me of the Leo season we're in right now. The sunflower is a good symbolism of the sun in Leo. I like that.
Yeah, totally.
Jen's here.
Jen's here. Hey, Jen.
Yay. Welcome, Jen. I'm excited about your reading. Cool. Thanks for being here, everybody. That's fun. You're welcome. So I did pronounce it right. Names are tricky.
Sweet.
Good. Excitement means something's coming for you that is going to be supportive, Excitement's a good sign. Means you're in alignment, I feel. Okay, so should we start with the readings and then do a little collective reading since Jen's here?
Yeah, sure. That's why I was kind of just tuning in, seeing what would come forth. And yeah.
Hi, Joe.
Hey, what's up, Joe? So yeah, I'll read Jen's question
Okay.
unless she wants to type it in. But she gave me a little context too, which I think would be helpful for people to hear, which I'm sure a lot of us could relate to. I know I can. She said her biggest question and frustration is for the last decade, I have this inner agitation and blockage to really tuning inward. It used to be with so much grace and ease and pleasure, but one day I had something like a severing, very much, so severing in quotation marks, very much like a switch turned off. And ever since then, I have such trouble going inward. This affects my ability to meditate regularly, create good self-care routines, and accessing my galactic peeps. It's been a source of great grief for me. And so basically, Jen's desiring to know what the blockage is and how she can remove the blockage. And I checked in with that as far as, to be clear, is basically that she's ready to have the blockage removed or to have the situation change. And so, yeah, she was like, yes, definitely. So ready. So if there's anything I missed, Jen, just feel free to comment, or if there's anything that you wanted to add to with that, and we can tune in and see what comes through the cards and through the channeling of connecting to the energy of what's up in this moment around that topic.
Okay, yeah, I think that it would actually be helpful to use Lisa Royal Holt's deck about, the galactics, and because her deck is really about when the original root of a wound may have started. So it's really powerful because it takes you on this journey of evolution with yourself, because it always comes down to you, and how it was this journey of, separating from source, going through the experience of becoming very separated. Like 3D would be the epitome of separation from source, or the most we'll ever feel separated from source. And then the journey of like working with your wounds, how they come up, what they are, all that stuff. And then your journey basically back to source and back to integration. So it just gives like a nice microscope of like what could be going on.
Yeah, you want to go first, and then I'll tune in.
Yeah,
because I'm kind of like in different modes right now. I got to get out of my intellect a little bit.
Okay.
Time.
So I'll definitely like pull into it from what I pull here, and I also may read one of the cards from the book because she gives such amazing backstory. I won't read them all though, because we would be here all day. So let's see, for Jen, we want to hear from her galactic guides what this block, or quote unquote severing, what does she need to know about this or bring into her awareness about this? Wow, that's awesome. So you got number 92, and it says Sirius. So this is from your Sirius galactic guides, or your Sirius family, calling our parts home. So my understanding of this, which is probably one of those most powerful experiences I've ever had in my healing journey with my therapist, was just calling all of my consciousness back to my being from all the places where it was stretched out, shared, given away, spent. And that had a lot to do with me giving my power away because I thought that's what was needed in the moment, or maybe I did it out of a behavior pattern for survival. But it was just this moment where it was like a permission slip to consciously start calling all of our parts home, which is home to you, home to your heart, and to your consciousness. So I'm going to pull 2 more and see what comes up around that, because that's always Lisa's suggestion. So you've got Pleiades past, and this one is a number 41, and it says guilt. Okay, one more. And then melting pot number 75, which is earth future. So all these cards are about integration. So like the melting pot, for instance, this is something, if you live in America, that we hear a lot, that we live in a melting pot, because there's so many different cultures here from so many different parts of the world. And what it refers to on a small scale is integrating all the different parts of yourself inside of you, allowing all those parts to come home and feel like they have a home within you. So for instance, if you have two very different parts of your being living inside of you at once, and often it feels like conflict, it's like, how can you be a really big, expansive container for both of those parts to integrate, work together, and live in harmony? So the melting pot really is about living in harmony with all these different aspects of ourselves. And we do that through acceptance. We open up this unconditionally loving part of ourselves to love ourselves in a bigger way. And we start to accept all these parts of ourselves that may feel different from other parts of ourselves, or maybe they're more unwanted, or maybe they're just, you don't understand them as much. And you're just making yourself a bigger container to allow every aspect of you to come home to yourself. Like, all are welcome, no matter how, hard, abrasive, ugly, pretty, whatever they are, the nice stuff, the ugly stuff, allowing it all to have a place within you, because those are all just labels that our mind puts on things. So you don't want to entertain the illusion of what these things are, but they're really wanting a home within you, because what they can teach us is so much more than what an illusion can offer. So there's then the card of guilt, which is the Pleiades past. And there's obviously a whole story about what the Pleiades went through. But for you, this could be, I don't know what happened with the severing, but if there is any guilt tied to that moment, they're allowing you and telling you in this reading that one of the big pieces for you to call home is releasing a sense of regret or guilt tied to what happened, and bringing some love into that feeling inside of yourself as it comes up, if it ever comes up. And how often it comes up would be, how to love myself beyond, because guilt comes from a judgment of what happened. If you didn't judge the situation, the guilt wouldn't be there. So it's like the idea of like self-judgment or self-criticism comes up, and like your responsibility tied to that certain situation, how it's played out. It's like, as soon as you dissolve the guilt and bring it back home into love, the karma dissolves. So there's definitely something here for you to look at pertaining to guilt and what played out in the past.
Awesome. Should I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead. And I'll look up one of these to read in a minute. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I'll just tune in first to your energy, Jen. As I'm assuming I have permission, since you wanted the reading and want to work on this perceived block. And then I'll pull some tarot cards. So what I'm getting is, I don't want to know what I did before, or what I got before. It's like there's a part of you that doesn't want to connect to like who you are and the other roles you played. And it's not so much knowing, but like, and I heard Matthias DeStefano talk about this, the guy on Gaia remembers all his past lives, is he's like, it wasn't like it was just shown to me and information came. He said, I had to feel the emotion. It came through an emotion. And so like some of these lives we had, I know I've had quite a few where I wasn't like fully aligned with source in a way, even though I'm always aligned with source. There was like a forgetting, or like a veil. And I played some games, and I had experiences, and then I learned from those, and it was all valuable. And in our current society, and a lot of people will be like, oh, well, that's negative, that's bad, or that person's a narcissist, or this person's horrible. And there is valuable roles that all those people play to help us like step into our power, and to step into who we are with something to push against. And so it's like a lot of us had those lifetimes where we had interacted in ways that were like, oh man, that was horrible. Why would I do that? Why would I act like that? And so it's being willing to feel that emotion that comes up. And again, like Deepa was saying, is not judge it, to like have a lifetime where I had a lifetime where I was like a bandit, like I ran around, I was stealing things and hurting people. And like, I felt powerful and strong as a result of that. And I felt like I had tribe and people and nobody could hurt me, but I was like hurting other people. And there's a part of me that felt guilty for feeling like empowered by that. And obviously it's nothing I would do now, because I see that I would just be hurting people outside of me that are really me, like stabbing my own hand. And yet the emotion comes up. So that's what I'm getting is there's that's really long and elaborate, and maybe it's more than people want to hear, but like many of us have had lifetimes where we would judge it harshly, not really understanding that it all has value, and the experience of source playing out its different games and its different dynamics, and the, like the world is a stage, and we're all just players, and we're doing these roles and interacting with each other. And really the one I heard that I really loved is like, we're all enlightened, we're all like love, peace, and joy, and then we agree to come to a certain level of density and play out a game. And it's like, I'm gonna be the father that hits the kid and gets upset and yells all the time, and the other person is going to experience that, and what's that like. And then when it's over, we'll end the game and come out of it. And sometimes that can happen before we even die. Like that can shift as we integrate what's going on within us and be like, I don't want to play this game anymore with you, and start seeing the person differently and working with the energy of it. It's really phenomenal to see that. And but that's what I'm getting is like to embrace this idea that there is nothing wrong in a sense with these other lifetimes, if the energy that comes through, and a block would be there to like keep it at bay, so there's not too much coming through, too much emotion that we would associate with something else. Like I'm feeling this emotion or I'm feeling this rage, and then project it onto like something in our current life when it's really just a past life integration coming through. And so that's what I get initially as I tune in. And I'm going to pull like an oracle card from the Anubis Oracle, which Anubis is the enlightened heart shaman. And when he first showed up, he's why I connected with the Syrians, with the Natiru. And I perceived him as dark. He was his own void space. I didn't really know what the void was at the time. And I thought it was kind of like dark or maybe evil, even though I had a resonance with him, he didn't feel bad or negative, but other people would be like, oh, he's the ushers people into the underworld. And I wouldn't put a, statue of him up anywhere. And I had to like let go of that and see what that being truly is, and what they represent is the shaman that holds this void space energy and uses it as a way to interact with reality. And so the more I connected with him, the more I was able to like see my own shadows and be at peace with them, kind of thing. So I'll see what card comes through for Jan. So I got the Tree of Life, which is Anubis, Bast, and I think Osiris. And so what this represents to me is like, basically as a shaman, and I'm getting, you have this shamanic energy as well, where it's a surrender. You see him hanging, that's Anubis hanging from the Tree of Life. And this is a similar story that Odin did, where he sacrificed himself to himself. And it's not like killing yourself, but it's like letting go of the ego self. So in a sense, hanging everything up, surrendering, and allowing yourself to be taken by the emotion that comes up, always knowing that you are safe and held and protected, that you have your guides and your guardians and your higher self that's always available to you. And so what I'm getting as far as like this blockage, it's really just a fear of feeling things that you may not want to feel or that you've repressed. And I would invite you to ask your guides for assistance and use the caveat like, please help me integrate, this energy. Please dissolve these blocks. I want more contact with to be experienced with grace and ease. So I always add grace and ease whenever I'm working with someone doing healing work or anything, is like the highest level and frequency of healing available in the now moment that can be integrated with grace and ease, rather than just blasting somebody with like, here's a bunch of energy and here we'll take all this stuff out of you that's really there for you. Because it's a gradual thing. We don't want to like turn on the fire hose and get all this energy into the body before it's ready, or the consciousness before it can assimilate it. So that's what I'm getting coming through. And I kind of went all over the place with that. My apologies if that's a little confusing. And I'm getting that you're a very big, powerful being, and you've had many, many lifetimes, and you've done many, many different roles and things. And it's like coming to terms with it's all source energy experience itself, and it's not you. These lifetimes aren't really you. It was just an aspect experiencing itself. And sometimes we tune into other lifetimes that we don't even really have much of a soul connection to. We just get perceptions of it. So hopefully that's helpful. And then Deepa's got probably a little more, and I'll pull another card as well.
That was helpful for me too. Thanks, Jason. Okay. So I'm going to read the one card here, calling our parts home. And this is the Sirius connection. Okay. This card accesses energy from the Sirian era after they became an awakened species and transcended to a non-physical fifth density state. The Sirians from this era are a great model for humans, showing how a physical species can transcend the challenges of being immature, become awakened, transcend physical existence, and then serve as guides for other beings. The Sirians from this era are devoted to serving humans and other species as they tend to experience planetary awakening. So for one, you could definitely be a Sirian can be your guide, helping you going through this awakening process, because you did get a card called Shining Through. So it's like, to me, source energy helping you purge anything that's just out of alignment, but not necessarily purge as in push away, just releasing those, the heaviness around the parts of you that haven't been integrated so that they can come home for integration with the rest of you. Okay, let's see where I am. The Sirians from this era are devoted to serving humans and other species as they too experience planetary awakening. In order for this awakening to happen, individuals and the planetary consciousness as a whole must begin a process of integrating the aspects that were never allowed to be embraced, the shadow as well as the light. In that way, this card is a very healing card. If it shows up in your reading, there may be many messages. It could be that a Sirian being is working directly with you to assist your growth, and this being could strongly have the potential of being a future self for you. The strongest message, however, is that it is time for you to begin to embrace the parts of yourself that you always wish to keep separate, the parts of you that you cannot love. All these parts must now be embraced. When they are, your full being will be home. This is a first step on the path to awakening. Very cool.
The Sirians are master of integration.
Yeah.
They're great magicians, and there's a lot of like weird stuff that went on in Egypt as there was that period of forgetfulness and kind of separating from source, seemingly, where it was like, this is my power and I can do this because I'm going to, but like with the integration of that coming back into wholeness and embracing all those parts.
Yeah. And this is interesting too. It's almost like after you get this guidance, you're like, okay, I get it. And then there's this moment of, okay, how do I go about this? And obviously there's multiple ways, but I picked some numerology cards for you. You actually got a number 3 and a 74. And you got creativity and nature. And so what I love about this is they're kind of encouraging you to focus on what you love, to bring those parts home, because I feel like the more you are in that creative vibration where you feel just the love of your own being, the more your frequency will raise, the more your energy will expand, and the more you'll feel like the more those parts will just start to naturally gravitate home. It's like you're creating a safe space so that they feel like they can come home. Does that make sense? Also, I'm curious if this is resonating with you, Jen, all this. Okay, so while she responds, do you want to pull your last card for her?
Yeah, I'm pulling those now. I'm pulling 3 from the Rider-Waite, just to get more clarity. And this one jumped out, the Ace of Pentacles, which is, I would interpret it this time around this reading of what you're asking for is available. It's there, and it's going to come from, yeah, like your guides. It's going to come from the ethereal. It's going to come from asking for assistance from that realm more than any physical guide, even though physical guides may play a role. And, you know, Deepa had mentioned something about QHHT prior to us getting on the call. And that's like a super helpful modality if you do decide to go and get some assistance from somebody. And so I got that, where this is available for you. It's just a matter of asking. And again, I would say using the, you know, with grace and ease part, make sure you say that. Otherwise, sometimes they'll just give it all to you at once. And it's like, oh, what do I do with this? And so Jen was saying, hi, thank you so much for these readings. Internet went out right when you started pulling. Oh, man. Okay. We'll have the replay. And I was just finishing up with basically, and this plays into it too. Your second card is the devil, and this perceived notion that something is evil, and really how it plays a role, and it helps us attain and remember our power. And so even like demons, I tell people like, oh, wow, that's great. They're showing up, because they're kind of like the fail safe, that when we get so caught up in the illusion and the madness of the mind, these things start showing up that are like semi-etheric. And you're like, wait a minute, that's not supposed to be there. And everyone's going to tell you that's not real. And it opens you up to like, there's more in this existence than what's in my head. There's so much more magic and stuff here. And like my own process, I'm like, well, if that stuff's real, angels and, you know, all these other things must be real too. And then it's just a change of focus, a change of choice. And then the final card I got was the 8 of Pentacles reversed, or I mean, 8 of Cups reversed. And I would read this as like a lesser of the upright. You know, it's like a moving away from, and a lot of times it's moving away from something that was working or felt really good. And for you with this reading, Jen, I would show it as basically letting go of a level of comfort you have around your life and how you live it, and being willing to like dive into something new. And totally, you're not going to know what's up or down maybe for a while, and that's going to be part of the experience of embodying a new level of consciousness. And that's the whole point, is like, if we're at a new level of consciousness and we have no frame of reference for it in our intellect, and it's trusting that you have your guides and you have your own inner support and your guidance. And a lot of it is just letting go of the fear of the unknown, because the mind is the only reason why we have fear. It's creating that, because in any moment we know what to do, unless we're in our heads. You know, there's usually not a tiger in the room. You know, if there's a tiger in the room, we'd be best off not in our heads. We're gonna sense it. We're gonna run. We're gonna know what to do. And so it's always, you know, trusting in the moment. I like breath work, brings me into the moment. Meditation, focusing on one thing and then let go of that one thing and just tuning into the divine. And I'm sure you do all this already. And it's just being willing to do something that's scary, not knowing the outcome. And I feel like you're already right there. And it's just a matter of, all right, guys, I'm ready. I'm ready to take the big ride and show me what you want to show me that I haven't wanted to see.
Yeah, I love that your internet went out, Jen, because I so consistently, whenever I consciously work with the Syrians, something happens with technology. So I feel like they were just with you in that space, helping you to like align with the energy and receive. And if you actually do want to watch it now, I think you could just go to the video and pull the bar back on the video, and you can, even though we're still live, you can watch your reading. I think you can. I don't think you have to wait till we're over, but. Oh. You're welcome. Thanks for posting your story, which I thought was so beautiful. I love hearing the galactic stories.
Yeah, I got one more card for you, Jen. Pulled a dragon oracle. So got the earth and fire dragon. And without even reading it yet, I'm getting like work with your elements, work with the earth, grounding, work with fire, lighting candles, embracing the flame, and embracing the connection to the earth, stuff that brings you into the now moment. So this works with you to clear the fifth dimensional ley lines. It's time for service. When you give, you receive. So like do something scary like what we're doing here. Like my teacher, I was learning tarot cards like 20 years ago, and my teacher's like, you should just go to like a coffee shop and start doing readings for people. And I'm like, hell no way. And now we're doing live tarot readings online. And I never would have done that before. And but there's like a magic that comes through when we just do it anyway. So I invite that as well. Like call on your dragons for that extra support, and do something that scares you a little, that's in the realm of using your intuition. So thank you. Hopefully that was helpful. Take in what resonates, throw away the rest. We're just sharing a perception, really.
And Joe signed up for a reading.
Awesome. Cool.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Okay, Joe, why don't you type your question there, and we'll start to get ready. Yay, you're welcome, Jen. That's very good to hear.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for the collective reading today too. I'm perceiving a lot just when I close my eyes. I was more and more, I'm always kind of like naturally on mushrooms. I've always kind of had that where it's hard to focus and read things, and I can do it, but it's just a little challenging. And then now the last like week has been even more intense. Just like I close my eyes and there's all these visions and things, and I'm just like, wow, that's interesting. Breathe. Just notice.
Joe, I'm already getting some pretty interesting cards for you. I hope you're typing your question. I think the reading's going to surprise you. Joe has been one of my clients for a couple of years. So
Oh, sweet.
At this point, she's my friend. Yeah, not just a client. Not that there's ever just a client.
Yeah. I know I have a hard time even saying that now. It's like friend or a person, is trying to let go of that power dynamic in a way, because there's a lot of people I've trained with that I'm like, oh, I could help them with something, but they don't want to hear it. And it's like, oh man, okay, they're not willing to like really even hear what I have to say about this. And maybe they don't need to, but it's interesting. Oh, and then while we're waiting, we're going to have the tarot hut set up. Deepa and Brian have been working like intensely on that, getting it done in time for their August release date, which is next week. You guys are going to have it all set up?
Well, amazingly, it would be open the week of the Lionsgate, which was an accident. But a very powerful accident for sure. A very aligned accident. So, yeah. And then I actually heard something interesting. Molly McCord was just referencing the changing of the nodes. So now they're in Aries and Libra, right? And she was like, okay, look back 16 years. And that's the last time Aries and Libra were the nodes. Aries North Node, Libra South Node. And I looked back 16, oh, was it 17 years? I think it was 17 years. And I was 16 years old. And my mom gave me my very first tarot deck. And now, 16 years later, again, Aries North Node, Libra South Node, I'm opening the tarot hut. So that's amazing. So it's like she was talking about how Aries puts you in alignment with your mission. So I just thought that was pretty magical. Okay. Oh, Joe. I know. I need to call you. Let's see. Let's see what comes up, because I think this is interesting what you've already gotten. Did you want to start this time, Jason, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, I can start.
Okay.
So Joe says, okay, I feel like my life is in shambles on all levels and need guidance of what to do. Okay, so I'll just tune in. This is what my mentor was saying, the guy I was working with for a while. He's all, fucking breathe. Fucking breathe. You know, like, be willing to take in the God breath, take in the breath of life. And the reason why we wouldn't do that is because there's emotion. Like, most of us are breathing shallow, because as soon as we breathe more deeply and start moving those areas of the body, emotion comes up. And because we've never really been taught how to navigate emotion, or even to acknowledge it in a lot of ways, most of us don't want to do that. And again, this is with the theme of integration, and with the Syrians, and with ascension, is really integrating all parts of self, and that's our emotion. And with the Galactics, there's such a deep, rich history of you got to deal with your emotions. Like the Zeta were really good at not dealing with them, apparently, and they were able to almost like disconnect from source in that way. And they were no longer able to procreate. Their life force energy, their vitality was being lost. And so there's other ways that beings can siphon energy, but ultimately we all come back into like the power of our emotions and integrating them. And to integrate them is to feel them. And what's helpful for me is to remember, like, to breathe. And a really powerful breath is like, in Hawaii, Ha's breath. And so even that sound helps release and get you down into your belly, down into the feet. So you breathe in, expanding, and you let go with a, and you let everything go. Because when there's emotion, we're going to get tight and tense and hold that. Oh, and so Joe said, I lost you guys. My life has been in shambles. I want to know if I'm on the right track. So you can never be on the wrong track. You're where you are. You're existing, you know, and this is all for us. And again, I was sharing about the breathing, where this Ha breath, you breathe in, let go with a, and that's going to help relax the body. That's going to help release emotion. And with emotion is feeling it. And that, like I was going to say, to remember that this emotion, it's like a child banging on the door. Like, will you let your child in and hold them and love them and be with what they're feeling? Like, if that was our kid, we would do that without a question. But when it's an emotion inside of us, we've gotten really good at running up into our intellect, or managing it with like a substance, or distraction, or even people working a lot. People just work a lot, so they don't feel things. And the lockdown stuff showed us that, like, a lot of people had a really hard time with that because they really couldn't do the things they were doing, and this emotion came up. So what I'm getting with you, Joe, is there is emotion there. There's emotion that is wishing to be felt, desiring to be expressed. And I'm sure you're doing that already. And I'm getting to breathe as you do it, to breathe more and to spend more time breathing. And it's not even so much the breath, but the breath brings us into presence. And so that's just what I feel to share in this moment. And I want to pull some cards to see what comes through. And I like the Rider-Waite deck for this, because there could be any number of things we could pinpoint as what's going on and what you could do. And ultimately, it's an internal thing. So I get the Six of Swords. And so again, it's like, I read this as navigating the mind and the emotion. Like the swords represent thoughts or the intellect, and then the water is like our emotions, our subconscious, and the interconnectedness of all three of those. And then you see the man navigating down the river, navigating what could be considered treacherous with the precious, beloved loved one, or someone that is in their care in that moment, that they're safely taken across this water. And so this lines up very much with the next card, is the Magician. So like the man with the staff navigating this territory, this water, these, the emotions, the thoughts, you are in a place of power and presence to do this. And you think because it's still happening that there's something wrong. Everybody goes through this. Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi, everyone has a mind that offers madness, emotions as a result, or emotions from previous experiences, all that water coming up. And then we have a place of our centered connection to all things. And that's where this breath and the center in your practices you already do, you remember what that feels like to be in that space of presence. I'm sure you've experienced it numerous times. And so it's just the choice of still feeling this and being in the presence, knowing that you are navigating this, you are doing it. And the final card I got was the Six of Pentacles. And so with this, I would be seeing there's like a teacher or someone. Interesting. They're having me focus on this being right here, where it's like coming more into your power. Actually, you are the teacher, like realizing you are the teacher, you have what you need. In fact, I don't know if you've done a lot of personal development, spiritual work, but it's almost like stand up. You know, you got this. You already know and have everything you need to accomplish this. And it's just a matter of owning it. So like owning your greatness, owning that you are a great teacher and you are a master in your own right, and stepping into that. And again, that would be like the Magician, not from a place of ego, but from a place of like, oh, I've been through this. I got this. I know this always passes. I know how to navigate it, just like this card, where we're going through the time of ascension and there's a lot coming up for everybody, and you have everything you need to navigate it. And so a lot of this is a reminder of remember who you are. Remember like the feelings of when you were in that place of who you are, and that's always there. And even when it seems like it's not, it's always there. And so we still feel, but it's like, oh yeah, wait a minute. This isn't really me. This is just something I'm feeling. And like a child that comes to you, we can get caught up sometimes in the emotion. If it's an adult that's throwing a temper tantrum, it's a little harder to like see the love in them and see the innocence. But if it's a child, we're like, oh, okay, well, they're just upset. They're hungry. It's still uncomfortable. And yet we're able to navigate it. But same with our own emotions. If it's an adult, our own emotions are like, oh, get the hell away from me. So it's leaning into it rather than trying to manage it. Like the child, you would just love it and be there for them rather than try to manage them. So hopefully that's helpful. Just take in what resonates, throw away the rest, because that's just what I'm perceiving. And I can relate in a lot of ways to your question and what you're going through.
Thank you, Jason. I actually got a lot of similar cards as you. It was really resonating. And from what I know about Joe, you were really you're like, oh, I think you are the mentor. Like she definitely is one of those people. And Joe, this is why I think that these readings are going to surprise you, because this tower moment that you're having is breaking away this shell around your consciousness that you've carried for a long time, made up of all kinds of limiting beliefs. And as you break through that shell, what you truly are is, it's really trying to shine through. It was like the last card we got, shining through. It's trying to push out. Your light is coming out. And as your light comes shining out, it's breaking off the shell. You're experiencing a breaking off of this old shell that's not you anymore. So you did get being the mentors card. You literally got that card. So Jason,
Nice.
you definitely, yeah. And then this one is Earth, future Earth. You've got also a Vega future, freedom. This is about your own internal liberation and internal freedom. And then again, you tag this one too, Jason. There's a Zeta Reticuli card about enlightenment. And then these are all future cards. You know, I almost feel like you're from the future and you've come here to assist and help people on their awakening and their journeys, and continue to integrate, maybe even from lives. Maybe you were a Zeta being where you had cut off your emotions and you relied mostly on mental frequency to navigate your lives. And what the Zetas realized was that there's this beautiful marriage of emotion and mental capacity and soul that they were missing, that would lead to their true and lasting freedom, that you couldn't get there without navigating through the inner child. Like you just can't get there without loving yourself. And so a lot of this to me feels like Venus in retrograde. Like for instance, you've got surrender low self-esteem and surrender resentment. And resentment comes up when we often give more than we're receiving, but we're choosing to allow that dynamic to stay intact. Like some questions to ask yourself would be, why do I allow myself to give more than I allow myself to receive? Why is that okay with me? Really neutral questions without judgment are really helpful and supportive, because there could be choices that you're making in with partners and relationships and in life where instead of going about it through your empowerment, you're going about it through more limiting beliefs like the low self-esteem. And so you're attracting things that aren't necessarily in alignment with who you actually are, which is an angel being, in my perspective. And you got open to discovery. So this is definitely a time of self-discovery for you. I don't think any of this is to say, don't feel all the emotions that are coming up. I think, yes, that's exactly what they are saying, is allow yourself to feel it. But just to give you more of a perspective of what's going on a deeper level, I think your true self is coming out and breaking through this shell that was there that you were holding up. And there's just some things that need to shift and integrate, and still more healing to be done on a really deep level, because you also got luminosity. This is you right here. I mean, it's so interesting when people get the tower card, but then all the other cards are about their enlightenment and their freedom. It's like usually when we have these tower moments, it's to make way for what's truly meant for us. Although that doesn't mean that the current moment will be made any easier. We still have to go through the process of grief and loss and whatever it is that's coming up, confusion, until things get realigned. And then we're in this flow again. What's interesting is this seems to be a lot about relationships from you, because you did get some relationship cards. Number 14, which is a 5, which, as you know, means change or recalibration a lot of the time. You've got equality, seahorse energy. And this is like, you know, do you look for equality in partnerships? Or how do you choose partners? That's a good question too. And you know, that's again about resentment. Like you could be feeling some resentment from offering more than the other person is offering. And I think your guides are coming through saying, you know, maybe there's a different way, you know, maybe there's a reason why you keep bringing in this certain type of person. And maybe there's another way where you won't feel like you're never looked after, you know, like you're the one always doing the looking after. You're not the one who's looked after, because you deserve that, Joe, and you deserve support and unconditional love and being thought of, and you deserve loyalty and all of that, as we all do, and devotion. But it's hard to ask somebody else to give you that if you haven't gotten there yourself yet, to yourself. It's an amazing thing to be able to go through a relationship while you're in relationship and learn how to love yourself, which is exactly what I had to do, because I didn't figure that out until after I was married. And then, you know, whatever situations we were going through, I realized was a result that I had never learned how to love myself. I didn't even know that was a thing. Nobody told me that, you know? So, but the tarot cards you've got are showing you a little bit of resistance to opening up to the path that spirit is saying is right for you and in alignment with you, which is, you know, you got the 4 of Cups. There's a little panda here refusing to look at the cups. There's a lot of opportunity around you, supporting you, right under being the mentor's card. So there's a little resistance here to what spirit is trying to show you. There's also the 5 of Cups. You got all cups, by the way, which is emotions. Another 5. And the 5 of Cups is often focusing on what was lost. And that's totally okay if that's how you're feeling right now. Like you said, I lost you guys. I think that's also relating to how you're feeling right now. And then the 6 of Cups in reverse could mean like the loss of a deep soul connection or relationship. And I don't think Spirit's saying get over it. That kind of thing is not what Spirit says. The kind of thing that Spirit says is we love you deeply. And there are pieces in here for you to recognize about yourself, about the relationship, and open the door and let those feelings in. Let them have a seat at your table where, you know, let's say your heart has a table. You invite all these pieces of yourself to take a seat at the table and to have their voice. So the inner self, the inner child says how they feel about it. Your mind says how it feels about it. Your heart, your conscious mind, your subconscious, and everybody gives their 2 cents. You know, the part of you that's more reasoning, the part of you that's more intuitive, everybody just puts it on the table and then you let it go. There's no solving. You just allow those feelings and energies and ideas and thoughts to intermingle and be with each other and connect. That's part of integration, is allowing these different sides of ourselves that seem opposing to marry and to connect and to integrate and to ground inside of your body and your being. And then over time, maybe it'll be a couple of weeks, maybe it'll be a couple of months, maybe it'll be a couple of years. There's some doorway that opens. There's a happening that happens in your soul, almost seemingly without you. And it's a healing. It's a deep healing. And all of a sudden you realize that there's a bigger, vaster part of you that's been wanting to speak through you and be a part of your conscious life. And so that starts to come through, and then you start to live in alignment with that voice. So that's what I see. It's a hard lesson. It's a hard journey, but I think it's coming up to show you what's left to be integrated so that you can truly live the life that has always been meant for you and attract the things that really are in line with your vibration and where you're at, Joe, because you're always giving, you know, and who's giving to you, and are you allowing that? That's kind of the takeaway, I think. But please tell us, Joe, how that felt and how you are. I know that was very intense. And any other questions that you have, like, because of that reading.
I pulled a Wisdom of the Galactics card as well. Oh, and yeah. Even before I did, I like cleared my third eye because I felt like energy there. And then, so the card I got for you, Joe, is Lyran. And this would make sense with what Deepa was saying too, is like, there's all the different ways we could look at this, but you are an independent being. You are like a cat, and cats are very loving and they're very attentive. And at the same time, they're like, leave me alone. I'm going to do they're really good with like doing what they want to do. And then when they're ready for attention, affection, they're able to get it. So I don't know if you have a connection with cats or you have cats, but what I'm getting is, it's almost like this pattern is emerging for you as like a cat type pattern, where, not saying you are Lyran, but more like the pattern of a cat and how they navigate reality. And the cats aren't owned by anybody. They're, they have
They love themselves too.
They love
they
themselves.
Really love themselves.
And and you see the little third eye activated there. And yeah, that's what I was getting is like, and the card is about independence and being okay, being independent, finding that self-love and love that you love so much yourself so much that you call your own shots. You know what you want and when you need it. And people respect that, and they'll actually adjust to that, like we do with cats. It's not like the cats are really being controlled. And if you try to control them, they're not gonna allow it. And so I'll read what this card means. So you are here on earth to live your life in the way you designed it before birth. You are not here to live life. Oh, wait a minute. This is a hard one for me to see. You are not here to live other people's dreams. Release any codependency that you feel, knowing that you are strong and independent. You know when to ask for help, which is not codependency. You are here to live your own unique life. You are here to move along your path on the way that you choose. Follow your own passions, your own dreams. Allow others to help you achieve these dreams while staying true to yourself. Maintain your own energy without taking on other people's energy. Release any thoughts of caring what other people may think of how you're living your life. Be true to yourself, be independent, which doesn't mean doing everything yourself. It does mean that you are authentically you. So, and then the affirmation would be, I release any codependency to follow my true passion. So that's a cool energy to work with. The cat-like energy to be like, I'm doing what I want and I'm okay with it, even though someone else may not be.
Oh, awesome. It was spot on. Yeah, I love Lisa's descriptions of her cards in this deck. I think she actually channeled them, didn't she?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean,
I just love them.
You're dealing with the Galactics. It's basically channeled, right?
I know. There's
not like
really
really
a lot of energy.
record.
Yeah, I adore that deck. So because I offered this to Jen, Joe, and I think it's so helpful, I'm going to read one card from the book, okay? And I did choose Zeta Reticuli. I think this is the Enlightenment card. I think this is probably the strongest one here. So the Zetas had a tangible experience of moving from fear to awakening, but it was not an easy one. Through this crisis, they had to first learn to embrace emotion as a valid part of existence, and then at the same time, not attach to emotion, but rise above it. Encountering this paradox was essential to their transformation as a species. The same lesson is being asked of you now. Embrace and honor all aspects of who you are, even those you don't like. At the same time, know that mind, emotions, and body are not who you are. Expand your consciousness beyond them. This is enlightenment. If this card came up in your reading, it could mean several things depending on the other cards and your life circumstances. Perhaps you have a strong connection with Zetas of this era, and they are assisting you in your spiritual growth in a subtle or obvious way. Or perhaps this card is meant to encourage you to continue your integration process, even in the midst of pain, because pain is a sign of transformation and can be a powerful catalyst when used for personal growth. The card may also be reminding you that enlightenment is the natural state of being, and your life as a separate self is merely an illusion. The underlying message is that the human experience of separation is but one part of who you are, and by embracing all the aspects as the Zetas did eventually, without attaching to any one particular aspect, you individually and humanity collectively can move to an enlightened state of consciousness. I don't have cats, but I resonate with everything you said. Wow, I love that Zeta card.
Yeah, that's such a powerful example that what they went through. Like, just the sheer determination to just embrace the intellect fully and go there to the point where, we're all going to die if we don't embrace our emotion.
They really saw themselves going extinct. They couldn't produce offspring anymore. They were infertile, and they had to change everything. They had to look at, and it was similar to, I think it was the Palladians who, this is in the past, in their past eras, but basically they had broken out into something similar to HIV. It wasn't HIV, but it was an immune disease that spread throughout their population. And it was the same thing, but theirs was different. They were like spiritual bypassing, and they were focusing on only the good, and they weren't acknowledging the shadow, and they weren't integrating. And they had to ask the Syrians for help because it got to the point where they were dying. They were becoming extinct. They were dying. And they said, we don't know what this disease is from. Please help us. And the Syrians were like, you're not integrating your shadow. And so it changed everything for them. So
it's not that. Just give me a pill or something.
Yeah.
There's gotta be a pill.
So now Earth is going through the same thing. Here we are saying, okay, there's all this stuff happening externally, and all of our guides and the mentors and the enlightened beings on this planet, what do they do but point us inward? It's time to go in and start to integrate and recognize all these different aspects. Again, as Jen's reading said, calling all parts home.
Yeah, which is our topic for next week, actually.
Oh, right.
Reclaiming all parts of self.
Joe! I think we're due for a phone call. This has been coming for a long time. I'm so proud of you. Wow.
Wait a minute. So I'm curious about your question. Life's in shambles, but your house just sold. So is it in shambles, or is just like everything's going to be brand new moving forward?
Yes. Old is falling away. New is coming in.
That's what I was seeing with Jen's reading too, is like, I have no clue what's going to happen next if I go down this path, if I embrace this potential new way of being. And that can bring up the feeling of chaos or like shambles or whatever. Or maybe it's like something happens that forces us to move in a certain direction and it seems tragic. And then later it's like, oh my God, I'm so glad that happened. Which I can relate to definitely recently. Like, oh, I'm actually kind of glad that happened.
I know. Something Nadia Shah, the astrologer, always says is the universe is wise and loving. And if we always remember that, then we know for sure, without a doubt, that no matter what happens to us, even though it appears absolutely terrifying externally, there is a reason. Like, we're either being realigned or something's shifting out of our lives that's not in our highest good. So there's definitely a lot goes to be said. Is that how people say that? There's a lot to be said about having faith and trust in what the universe offers us.
Yeah.
Yay, Joe. You're so welcome. I love you.
Thanks, Joe. Should we do a collective reading?
Yeah, let me check if there was any other readings.
I'm going to turn on a fan. It's like super hot in here too.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can do the collective now. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for being here. We need you. We need more mentors.
Yeah.
We need the ones carrying the torch.
But that's what's interesting is like, there's just, I was going to a lot of like workshops and things like that. And it's like, I already know this. And it's like, oh, I'd get irritated by it. And it's like, why am I still doing this? And a lot of it's because it's fun. I enjoy it and you meet other people. But I was like, I'm just kind of in a habit of like going to other people to get answers. And then when I just started owning like, oh, I am the master I seek. I am the teacher I need or whatever. Then it's like, I still go to some of those things, but it's not like I really need it to like be a certain way. It's hard to explain.
Well, I definitely like, I know that can be tricky. I feel the same way about getting readings done. There's times where I feel like I'm just getting it. I'm just getting it, like, and then of course I would never, like I have a spiritual teacher. And what's good about that is he checks you like on your ego. So when there could be something happening that it's really hard to detect our own stuff. And our ego has a way of operating under the radar, and we may not sense it. We may not see it. And so it's really helpful to have somebody go, but, like, pay attention. This is still happening behind the scenes. It's disguised itself a little better because you're getting smarter, but it's still going on. And so just like keep your eyes open.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually having a QHHT session with a friend on Sunday. I'm going to go to the
Oh,
hot
cool.
ponds and have a session and see what comes through. Cause I was feeling like that over the last couple of days, just like, man, what is going on? Like, trying to make things happen and it's not really happening. And realizing that there's timing with that and be like, well, how much timing do we need? And what am I missing? And I don't know if I still need it, but I'm excited about it. And there's all these great visions and experiences that come through and wisdom in those kind of sessions. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is hard, Joe. Oh, we're sending you love. Big hugs.
Yeah.
I feel like you're doing the right thing for yourself. And it's not like you're never going to see them again or never going to live with them again. I think it's just right now claiming your space and your individual self and identity and what you are and who you are and what you want to be doing. Just going to help you set up some healthy boundaries. And then when you're established, going back into that environment and being able to join them. Aw. Yeah. It's hard to set up our boundaries around people who we're really comfortable with because, we already have a rapport, we already have a thing going. And it's hard to like set up new boundaries because they just expect you to be the same way as you've always been, and it's confusing for them. And then their inner child is like, what's going on? So it can be hard, very hard when you're trying to become something new around an old environment can be super challenging.
Yeah, I've noticed that pattern, and this has been said, like when you jump a level of consciousness, you change, and then everyone freaks out around you, and we could lose a lot of friends, and relatives won't understand because it's like we're different. We're not playing the game anymore, and it rattles people. And I still think there's a way to navigate it by just not needing them to change, and being patient, and like it's like we're here to live our lives and to do what's right for us. And I'm kind of done like toning down what I have to say. Like I'm not going to intentionally like share things that are going to be upsetting to someone personally, but like I'm going to share what comes through. And I've been guided by my guides to just speak what comes through, no matter how weird or wild it seems. And largely not everyone is going to resonate with it. It's okay, but it comes through.
I'm glad you're here, Joe. I think if it wasn't for Joe, I don't think I'd be the reader I am today, to be honest. This is amazing. What's amazing about Joe? I opened my website. It was a couple years ago. I think it was just 2021 or right before 2021, right before New Year's. And she signed up for a reading that day. And I'm like, whoa. And she's really helped me to become the reader that I am. So thank you, Joe.
And Jen shared, like, she's had to even say, let's meet as a new people we are now this day.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, Jen. I'm going to paste that on my forehead. That's so cool.
I heard another one where the gentleman said, like, I love you so much, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like, if there's something, a game being perpetuated as far as like, well, that's the way it is. And, you got to work hard to make money. And it's like, I don't believe that. And you say, yeah, I don't believe that. And they get upset. It's like, well, look, I'm not going to play this game anymore, that this is real, because it's not. Yeah. So Yeah, that's an interesting one. Like people that study A Course in Miracles, at a certain point you start living that material, which is, you know, channeled from Jesus basically, and it rattles the hell out of everyone when you start living it. And you're like, oh, there is no this, or that's not real, or you made that up, and you wanted that to happen. And everyone's like, what do you mean? Like, so yeah, it takes a certain level of courage to live our truth and to let go of the programming and the collective agreements that I don't know if we ever really agreed to. It was just taught to us by our parents or by schools or by a TV or whatever. Like, this is the way it is. And it's like, is it? Is that the way it is? I don't think so. I'm not seeing that.
Yeah, really powerful stuff. And it takes time. You got to be patient with yourself as you grow into this new, you know, as you grow into your true self, I should say, because it takes time and a lot of love and patience with yourself and compassion. We're not flipping switches over here. I'll just say that.
Not flipping switches.
Right. Okay, we should do the collective. I'm interested in seeing what comes through here. I'm going to clear the space real quick. Thank you to everyone who is here, everyone who's watching the replay, everyone who's here live. We are doing a collective reading, and I'm feeling this river that we talked about in the beginning. It's sort of like this portal and this energy and this flow of this river taking us through the Lion's Gate. And so we're already in the flow of that energy. We're already in the power and the force of it. So let's see what comes through for the collective at this time. And I'm just pulling numerology first because they're fun. We got creativity again, which is a 3. And we got nature again, 74. Isn't that amazing? Those are the 2 cards that Jen got. And we got 44, environment. We got a lot of green. This could be the energy of Taurus, Jupiter and Taurus right now. And then there's the sun with creativity. I'm just going to feel into this. So we have a double digit, 44, we've got an 11, and we've got a 3. This is really powerful numerology. This is like the multiplication of self. Also very stable energy. And when you're talking about Earth or Taurus energy, for instance, this is very connected to the Earth and what we value about our lives and about ourselves, and living in our values, like living in the sacredness of how we want to live our lives with each other, in relationship to each other and the Earth. So it's almost like, how can we be in our power, be in source power, be in our creativity, while also living in harmony with our environments, with nature, and encouraging the abundance of a healthy environment and nature around us and within us. So it's like nurturing nature, nurturing the natural part of ourselves that is source, being, consciousness, and bliss. And that nurtures our environment. So the garden that we till internally, the health of that internal garden becomes the health of our external environment. So if the external environment appears to be out of balance or in disharmony or disarray, that's when we look within to see, well, have we weeded recently? Have we cleaned out? Have we taken stock of what's happening internally, whether it's in the mind, the body, the soul, whatever's going on? Are we working in harmony inside? And if not, what needs to happen to adjust? I definitely see everybody weighing a lot of things right now. What must stay, what must go, and where do our hearts live in that?
Yeah, I was I was tuning in, and it's like I have this growing, expanding awareness of what the void is and what the void energy is, and how the void energy can be used in different ways. It almost creates like an illusion zone, a creational field, because that's what the void is originally, is like we're all in a void having this experience, and people call it a simulation. I don't fully resonate with that. I see it more of like a dreaming. I believe that every being here is like an aspect. I don't think there's like whatever they call it, they're non, I forget, like
NPC, non, or
yeah.
Brian knows.
Yeah.
It's like having video games. It's like the random people that walk around that aren't really part of your life in the video game. What's
Yeah,
it
like
called?
extras in a movie, but they're like not real. Like, yeah, bots basically. I mean,
Yeah.
I think there's a timeline where that is true. Like, I don't know that I'm on that timeline, maybe, but I see it as like all like fractals of consciousness. And so we're in this void space, and then there's these void type energies, like I was talking about in Anubis, where he's his own field of energy no matter where he is. And that's why he's the shaman, and he's the enlightened heart shaman. So it's a neutral space. It's not domineering or controlling. And then there's other like void energies that can be directed, and they almost like cover a thing and make that thing or that person forget or get kind of distracted. And what I was feeling is like this void energy that's kind of coming in like a stream towards me, and I think the whole planet, where there's like, again, it feels like integration. Like they say, you know, if you go to a very high level of frequency, you got to integrate the shadow, the darkness, the denser energies. And it's also been said, like, you know, like the tree that grows up, the roots have to go down. And so this is that integration part again, that as we ascend, as we on a ascending timeline with the planet, more energies are coming in, more benevolent contact with our galactics, our spirit guides. And then there's also these other aspects that are coming in that are much more dense and heavy feeling, and may not be quite as enjoyable, but also just as valuable for our experience, and integrating what that brings up for us, and then ultimately choosing to, you know, continue on the journey. It's kind of like maybe the relative we have that is abrasive or irritating, but we love them, you know, and we're going to accept them as they are, and embrace them, but maybe not always hang out with them as much. And so that's what I'm getting coming through for the collective is energies coming to the planet that can feel kind of shadowy or dark, and it can feel a little confusing, like, what is going on? I was riding this high and I felt all this love and light around me. Now I'm feeling kind of this like shadow energy where I can't really perceive that light as well, and I feel kind of a little scared by it. And it's really just a void energy where again, it's the opportunity for us to go within and self-source and shine the light and allow that energy to go where it goes. And that's just, when I would experience that in the past, it would freak me out, like something's wrong, or I'm on the wrong path, or somebody's attacking me, but I'm getting that it's just void energy coming through. And or maybe it would have been an attack in the old days, but now that stuff isn't as strong anymore. It's like, oh, okay, I see what this is. Oh, somebody's using magic on me, but it's not really working. I don't really see quite as clearly, but you know, it's all right. I got this. And that's as we come into wholeness, we can't really direct those things to hurt people anymore, because it's just hurting ourselves. And so that's what I'm getting, is working with the void energy, and coming into our mastery with navigating when we feel like we're in a dark space, knowing that that is where the seed grows, that is where things manifest and are birthed from. So if it feels like it's dark or evil. It's just energy, and like allowing that to flow and dissipate, and even dancing with it rather than making it a negative thing. But choosing your heart, choose to come into the heart if it's confusing, and the heart will never steer us wrong. So that's what I'm getting. That's more than I probably would normally share, but it feels like how void energy is used to hide things or manipulate things, and then it's not really working as well, and or it's being offered to us in a more creational capacity, as that is an energy of creation, and it doesn't have to be like about manipulating people or darkness or hurting anyone. So that's what I have to offer. I'll pull one card, pull a dragon card as a result of that, because the dragons got our back. And I get air dragon, helps you rise above earthly matters. So communicate honestly, brings inspiration and hope, see life from a higher perspective. So again, that's the higher perspective, that we are source energy, we are the light, we are love, we are peace, joy, harmony, all those things. And we get to dance in the illusion and the creational energies that are available here. And ultimately, everyone comes back to the love and the light and the joy that we are. And you've heard this by many, many people, and it's within you.
Beautiful, Jason. Yeah, I'm getting that same kind of reading. Interestingly enough, we got the Tower in reverse, which I love. So this again is a collective reading. We're kind of in this. Oh, this deck is gorgeous, by the way. I'll figure out what it is in a minute, but this is the back of the deck. I actually got it at a crystal shop downtown that's super high vibe crystal shop, the Mermaid Crystal Shop. Can't remember the exact name, but I think that's it. But the Tower in reverse, Judgment in reverse, these are major arcana cards. This is big stuff. This is like, Judgment to me is the awakening, the rebirth, the coming home to self, and if that's not going on, the Judgment, for instance, something's going to shake it up, which is the Uranus energy in Taurus, something coming in to shake things up. We also got the Eight of Pentacles, and this is a focus on what's right in front of you. Just kind of like staying in your lane, pulling your energy in, and focusing on the details of what you need to work with right now, what's coming up for you. So for everybody, it'll be different. A lot of people are going through some financial confusion, some relationship confusion, and then some wounding coming up from the past. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of energies moving around that don't necessarily feel great. So the challenge is the Four of Wands. I really feel like this is grow where you're planted. Especially
sunflowers too. Huh?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say that. There's the sunflower gen. And there's four wands. I know you can't really see that here, but there's four wands around the sunflowers. And we have two here. And this is where the relationship comes in. Look at this Two of Cups. It's two real hearts, organs in cups, and they're merging. Their valves are connected in the middle. And the reason this is a challenge is because it's accompanied with the Eight of Swords. It's because we're caught in the mind. We're caught in the anxiety of expectation. Sometimes I don't think this is the way we look at expectation, but this can definitely be considered expectation. And that would be setting up limiting beliefs about relationships, not necessarily being conscious of doing that, criticizing the relationships. That becomes itself an expectation that manifests later down the road. So it's like getting out of our heads about what's to be expected, or maybe expecting it to be a certain way just because you're criticizing it. Like, oh, that'll never work for us. It's this, it's that. That's what's going to happen. Not seeing its full potential, or not supporting it, or not trying to find a way through, not trying to see what the common ground is, what the stability is, how we can connect, how we can harmonize. So the challenge is, again, coming back to self. How is your mind possibly making this harder? How are your thoughts contributing to your emotions? What turmoil is getting kicked up because of what you're choosing to entertain here? And the guidance is so much new beginning energy. Like, let's just do it different this time. That's what I'm hearing. So we got Page of Wands, who's depicted by a little fox. The Ace of Swords, which would be like new ideas or breakthroughs, realizations, communication, and then the Ace of Cups. So this is like a new way of doing love. And this could be self-love, but this is like, really saying to yourself, really being honest with yourself about what would fill your cup, and how to source that for yourself beyond our relationships, even our strongest ones, even our closest ones. How can I source what I need from within for myself? And also in relationship, how do we encourage ourselves and support ourselves to ask for what we need? Because I think during a time like this, when so much is coming and going and we're reevaluating so much, Mercury retrogrades around the corner, it's such a beautiful time to get to know ourselves on a deeper level. And once we recognize that new level of ourselves that we truly are, how to bring that out into our lives, into our relationships, into the dynamics of our work and our family and everything, and our friendships, and make it a real living thing. Not keeping it undercover, not cutting off the throat chakra anymore. Really allowing yourself, it's actually allowing your heart to have a voice.
Yeah, like that different way of looking at love. And the more we embody love, like love just is love. And then love can see things as they truly are rather than what we think they are. And, it's like, it's almost like a global phenomenon, or at least in the United States, with the narcissist. Like there's this, and I talked about this before, it just keeps coming up though. There's like, oh, well, they're a narcissist. And it's like, well, no, it's a human being with a whole lifetime of experience and probably trauma and all kinds of things. And why would you even be in proximity to a narcissist? What is coming up that's being reflected? What is being asked? What am I feeling as I navigate this person in front of me? And can I see what is actually being said rather than what I think is being said? And I think that's what love is to be able to hold space and see the greater depth. Doesn't mean we have to hang out with that person, but it's like love from the right distance. And then I think the more we see the health in people or the innocence, the more they actually change and they can stop playing the game, less we fight against it and label them and hold onto these ideas like the spells that have been cast. Like, oh, this is what this is. What do you mean? No, this is what this is. This is what these are not the droids you're looking for. And, a lot of us are under spells, and then it's like, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was, and I think that's what I got as you were sharing that. Like, that's a whole different kind of love than we're used to here. At least I don't know many people that can see to the depths when they're being triggered by someone outside of them, especially if it's a loved one or a partner. It's challenging. That's like the Earth School relational masterclass.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, it is. And, moving from 3D or third density to fourth density humans, as we take on more of our light body, we are going to be wanting to feel unconditional love and wanting to share unconditional love more than we ever have before. And so these codependent behavior conditions will get transformed because we're growing and we're changing and we're evolving. And that's why we're here, so change is the name of the game. By the way, Jen, that is so cool. She has a forest of 20-foot sunflowers in her backyard.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think we definitely need to give each other more benefit of the doubt. Jumping to the first thought that will protect our ego, which is usually what happens. Usually we want to defend our ego in some way, protect ourselves in some way.
Yeah, but there's nothing to protect. The ego is not even real.
Thank you. Yes.
It's
Put
just, it's,
perfectly.
what's that?
Put perfectly.
Yeah, and it's real because it's an anchor here, but it doesn't. It gets a bad rap. It's just the programming that's been placed upon it is.
Yeah.
It's just an anchor into this reality, and then it makes everything seem real. But again, we can change that based on presence, based on heart, and then the love that flows forth, of course.
I want to see what comes up through this love deck that I have, since a lot of this is about relationship to self and others. Whoa, we actually got the soulmates card. Let me do that. Oh, there. This way. Yep. There's 2 butterflies there.
Nice. Which can be other than a romantic relationship too. It could be like
Yeah.
a brother or like a good friend that you always wind up being with or around.
Yeah. Look at that. Okay. Creativity again. Okay, this was our original creative card. We got creativity again. Being creative with your relationships, because on this card is another couple. Getting creative with your relationships. How to do them. Like, don't just shut people out. Don't just turn people off. Don't just run. Don't just chase. Like, get creative. There's
Well, that's
so many
integration.
ways of doing this. Huh?
That's integration too, is like, I've started working with that, is like this person I'm interacting with is similar to the emotions I've been avoiding, because I would avoid people realizing I was avoiding my emotions. And so now that I embrace my emotions, then when I go out and I see people, it's like embracing them as well as they are and feeling what it brings up. And I don't have to like stay with them or hang out with them, but it's like, oh, well, this person's showing up in my reality, and what is it? What am I being asked to feel as a result? And to me, that's like the integration. And then it gets fun. It's kind of fun sometimes. Like the energy will just flow through. Like there'll be an emotion, and I can almost just feel it flow like water through me, or sensation in the body. And it's like, oh, wow. And other times it gets stuck, or I get caught up in it, like, taking it seriously.
Yeah. Just real quick, Jason, info entertainment 999. If you're still here, let us know if you would like a reading, because I think we're going to close off otherwise. And thanks for being here. I know you're new, and we're really happy when you guys come in and just even talk with us about the collective energy. It's so nice to have your guys' input and your perspectives and your experiences with what's going on in your lives and on the collective level and everything, like, yeah, what are you growing in your backyard? I'm definitely not growing sunflowers, but I would love to. Actually, we have a rose bush that has been going crazy, so that's been fun to see. I have to say, Brian, my husband, is definitely the green thumb around here. I'm pretty bad with the plants. I have two Virgos in the house, and they are really great with the earth. The water signs, not so much.
Yeah, I have a lot of earth energy, but yeah, I'm not that great with like keeping stuff alive, like plants. I either overwater it or underwater it.
I can't figure it out. I'm like, I have 2 plants that I've currently killed. They're actually hanging on by a thread. I don't know why they're still here. They're so amazing, their ability to survive. When my mom comes, which is soon, I think they'll still be alive too, because I still spray them and stuff. She just is like a magician in the garden. So I'm wondering if there's a way she can magically fix them. She's also a Virgo.
Yeah, Virgos just have that. I met somebody recently, like when I go for a walk in the morning, that lives near me, and they have this yard that's just immaculate, and like all these plants are thriving, and yeah, they're a Virgo.
I swear, yeah. That's amazing.
They were digging cane grass out by hand.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's hardcore. Like, yeah, very focused and dedicated.
Oh, Jen, maybe I'm not giving them enough love. Yeah, no, I did. I was talking to
them. You're like, wait a minute, I did give them love.
I'm sure they need more. I'm definitely sure. I mean, I'm not the great. I mean, yeah. Hello, let's see. Ernstine Santiago. Oh, nice. Oh, okay. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah. Well, the Pisces are like, yeah, they got that. What planet rules Pisces? I forget. Is it Neptune? Like,
Neptune.
yeah, it's like that mysterious, like bring them back from the dead kind of.
Well,
like,
yeah, they have access
magic.
beyond. They have access to source that no one else has because they're in like their areas of 12th house, the crown chakra. Yeah.
Yeah, some people have a hard time with that energy because it's so like old soul, mysterious, deep kind of energy.
What do you mean by that? I always tell my no ear. Was that supposed to be something else? How do you bring a dead plant to life? I'm wanting your wisdom. Let's see. Oh, she speaks to her plants too. Okay. I'm going to be having some conversations today with my plants. And they're going to be this. Hang on till Nona gets here. Hang on just a little longer.
You can pull some cards for him. Like, what's going on? What do you need me to know?
When Brian bought them for me, they were just like in their glory. They didn't know anything but beauty. And I've definitely, oh my goodness. I'm going to try. I'll let you know how it goes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to know that water signs are not necessarily bad with plant life. There's some hope for me yet. Okay. Yes, I will. I will. I know. I thought of that the other day, actually. I definitely don't take enough time. Yeah.
That's the key to everything is like listening.
Yeah.
Well, breathing too. I'm going to breathe and listen. I think if everyone did more of that, we would be fine.
Yeah. So true. Let's all do that more. Okay.
So the Tarot Hut is in Kona, Big Island, Hawaii.
Yeah.
Opening next week, potentially.
Yeah. So if you guys want to follow what we're calling the Tarot Hut, DA, I'll write it here in the thing. Go to @the Tarot Hut on Instagram, and you can see the whole story there of the process. My husband built it with his friends, and he did an incredible job. I just helped paint it. And we open hopefully next week with the Lionsgate. That would be so cool. But it's in downtown Kailua Kona on the Big Island, where you can get a live reading on the spot. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for the plant advice. Next time you see me, I'll have a whole garden.
Have a plant in there with you, your background?
Well, I did. I had some, but they've exited the building. I'm trying. I didn't throw them out. Okay. We need some space. But yeah, I'm going to try all these tips. But yeah, we're excited about the Tarot Hut. Jason's going to read there if he can. That would be so great. I'm going to be there a lot. And I've got another friend, Meg Sibley. She's going to be reading there. And it'll be fun. So it's a great spot. And yeah, if you're ever in Kona, in Hawaii, please come say hi. I've got actually Jo. She's not on right now, but she was. She's going to be coming to visit, as well as our friends, Deb and her wife. So that'll be so cool to see them. So yeah. Thank you. All right, everybody. So we're going to close it off here. Thank you a million times. This was so fun. And please come to our last show, which is next Thursday. It's going to be amazing. And we're going to sort of tie up the new Earth topic, everything we've talked about. It's going to be jam-packed with love and super high vibes. We're going to invite all of our galactic beings to be with us. So if you see a spaceship land in the background, don't be surprised.
Yeah. And the first person to comment on the next show, we'll do a free reading for.
How do you do that? The first person to comment on the next show. So they have to comment in the.
So as soon as we go live, the first person to comment, we'll give them a free reading. So if you want to join us next week on Thursday, 11 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, we'll do this again with the theme of reclaiming all parts of self, which is kind of similar to what was happening today, the integration of ancient memory. And, if you got a reading, Jen, if you want to chime in next week, let us know how you're doing, or reach out during the week to me, and it'd be great to connect and see how this is moving along for you.
Yeah, and I'll definitely talk to Joe too, I'm sure. So, but
Joe too, chime in next week if can.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Oh, awesome. I'm praying for a sighting. Yeah, me too.
There's a woman that does UFO tours here on the Big Island too. If you ever get out this way, really, really powerful. I saw a ton of ships last time we went. Use night vision goggles, so you can see way more. And like you can see them shooting across, and then there'll be a flash and they disappear. And then there was one zigzagging and flash and disappear. And I was talking to this woman the other day where they go up on Mauna Kea and they'll play with the ships. I'm like, what do you mean play with them? And so they'll go up there and they'll see a ship and they'll be like, okay, now trace a triangle with your finger. And then the ship will like do the triangle too. It's like, oh, I'm going to try that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So it's called Big Island UFO Tours with Dr. Lisa Thompson. And we are actually going in October too. And I'm definitely going to try that.
Yeah. I got to book that. See if I can get on the same tour as you guys. I wasn't sure if I was going to be here, but
I want to see if Brian can come too, because we'll have to find a babysitter. That's the hard part. But yeah, that would be cool.
Right on.
Okay. So we'll see everybody next week. Have a great week, everyone. Have an amazing, smooth sailing through the Lionsgate. What is the date of next week, by the way? Lionsgate is Tuesday the 8th, and we will meet on the 10th. So, okay, we can recap how everyone's Lionsgate experience was. Actually, I think energetically it goes through the 12th. So we'll still kind of be in it. So fun. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. Namaste. Aloha. See you soon.